This is McCook's Mr. Bill. It's an honor to have you here. For 22 years, I was City Santa Claus in McCook, Nebraska. Some 3,000 community hours of service, they tell me. Be that as it may. One of the things that I quite often got asked, and every year, and at least a third to a fourth of the boys would ask for, every Christmas was a pocket knife. Almost a rite of passage out this direction. A rite of passage. To own and to have the responsibility to have a knife, a pocket knife. You bet. Most of them were 9 or 10 years old that were asking for a knife. I had a number of parents, that would say no, they want nothing to do with it. They ain't getting a knife yet. And I will always bow to whatever the parent so desires, because they know their child better than I could possibly know them. At the same time, you can go too far the other direction. Now, I know a lot of people think that they can just say, no, you can't have a knife. And that's the end of it. But what they don't realize is that their friend is going to get a knife and they're going to get to play with it and use it. And without any skill training from you on the subject of a knife, they are at more risk of being harmed, injured, cut, even killed. And so I tell this story. About 20 years ago, over there in North Platte, about 67 miles north of McCook here, a boy wanted to go fishing. His parents allowed him to do it. And so he went fishing, and he had asked his father if he could take his hunting knife. The father said, no, you can't take my knife, you're too young. Okay, that's fine. But as soon as the father was at work, the boy snuck in and got a hold of his hunting knife. Now he knew that there was a chance that he might get the sheath dirty, which would tell his father that he had gotten the knife and he'd be in trouble. So he took the sheath off, and he took the knife with him. That's right. On one handlebar he held the knife, and on the other he had his fishing pole. And down to the river he went. Well, the boy had a wreck on the bicycle. And the knife he fell on the said hunting knife. And it killed him. It killed him. His father said he's always wished he'd allowed him to have the knife, and because that way he'd had the sheath on it, and even if he had wrecked, he would have automatically not got stabbed with it. Or at least showed him how to put it on the bicycle so it had been safe and out of the way, or even have it on a holster on him so it could have been safer that way. But he didn't do it. That boy died. So I suggest to you that there are options out there, that just saying no isn't always the best answer, but rather some instruction, and to see your boy how he handles a blade. But teaching them the respect of it and the use of it is also important in another direction. A boy was given a knife when I was a little kid wanting a knife, and he was a year older. I think I was 7 at the time. And a number of kids, 7-year-olds, got knives. And when he was cutting the whatever given item he was doing, twiddling with a stick or whatever he was doing, he was pulling the knife to him. His father had forgot to give him any basic instruction whatsoever. And the piece of wood that he was trying to notch out, the knife slipped. The knife slipped and it poked him in the eye, and he was blind for the rest of his life. It also guaranteed I didn't get a knife myself for another 2 years. But be that as it may, that type of thing, if you are going to give a knife, you've got to think of what can happen. Every possible scenario, and discuss it. They might be a bit bored with it, but needless to say, it might save an eye, it might save a life. I hope you consider getting your boy a knife and allowing them to be responsible. And with that responsibility also means where you can and where you can't take a knife. When I was a kid in school, it was nothing for the teacher to say, Bill, give me your knife in a class, because he knew I carried, and he knew it was razor sharp. It could shave the hair off your arm. And he'd take my knife and use it and hand it back to me, and I'd put it in my pocket, and all was said and done. And that isn't to say the other kids didn't have a knife, but he knew mine was the sharpest. But times are different now. And so you have to explain to your children that a bucket of trouble is coming their way if they carry the least looking little knife. which is a joke in itself, but that's the rules, and it's their rules, so we follow their rules and laws. Always follow the law. Never give a cop the right to destroy your life, including for carrying an illegal knife or a knife concealed that is too long, whatever it might be in your city, your county, your state, and of course the federal laws as well. But I hope you consider getting your child a knife this year. And my knife, I've still got the first knife I ever had, and it's something that will be up in their agenda forever, and they'll never forget who gave them their first knife. Rate this film.